Following the unexpected resignation of John Key, there were two types of stories that appeared in the media. One was a retrospective of his time as Prime Minister, the other a question of who would follow him in that role. And it got me thinking about personality politics. Now, in some ways, politics has always been about personalities. Long before democracy, in the time of kings and dynasties, the leader was still a public face. They wanted to be feared or loved or respected. This probably stretches back before recorded human history, possibly even before humanity as a species. Other forms of primates have leaderships and hierarchies, and it's quite easy to see how this could have developed in humans. But while this was the seed for our social structures and civilization that we have today, I think there's a flaw in the way we view leadership. Watching these often fawning retrospectives of John Key, the same traits kept appearing. That he was a strong face of New Zealand to the world, that he kept the party together, that he brushed off scandals. And in those who might follow him, are they strong enough? Are they likeable? Do they have the connections? Now, we like strong, confident leaders. That makes sense. But I think all too often, the preference for a strong, confident leader actually overrides the preference of what we want that leader to do. The media marvelled over John Key's leadership, but what did he actually do with that leadership? We had a citizen-initiated referendum on state asset sales that the government completely ignored. We had a government referendum on the flag, which, despite John Key's obvious favouritism, cost us $20 million of taxpayer money to keep the flag we already had. Tax rates dropped across the board, although that board is pretty uneven, given that, for the lowest income families, GST rises pretty much cancelled out any income tax cuts. Whereas for the 20 richest companies in New Zealand, one year they paid about $2 million in tax, or 0.02% of their total profits. Health, education and police spending failed to keep up with population growth. Child poverty had dropped to 19% in 2008 when National took over. That is now back up to 28%. When they took over, our government debt was $10 billion. That is now just under $90 billion. John Key might have been a strong, confident leader, but did he actually do anything to make this country better? In a media-saturated world, politicians are celebrities. During a previous election, one voter said she would vote for John Key because he looked like a Prime Minister. During the US presidential elections, there were a lot of claims that Donald Trump looked presidential, as if this image was the main thing we should be focusing on. Now, impressions do matter. Humans make judgments based on what we see, but would we really give the leeway we give to politicians to any other career? Would we want to be operated on by someone who looked like a surgeon? Would we want our kids to be educated by someone who looked like a teacher? Or would we expect there to be other checks and balances in place to make sure they were competent at their jobs? The job of a politician is to enact public policy. The image, the electioneering, the PR, these only exist as a means of allowing them to do that job. But because of the flaw, because of the way we look at leadership, the actual policy is lost in the media image. Newspapers will laud John Key for being strong, Andrew Little for being weak, Matiria Toure and James Shaw as being idealistic, because this is easier and it's more comfortable than actually looking at the policy. But it's the policy in politics that affects all of us the most. We need to be focusing on this policy more, and we need to be demanding more of our media in covering it. Because I would rather have a leader who is less effective at doing the things I want than a leader who is very good at doing the things I don't want. Happy New Year, take care, and be heard.